In this video, I'm going to show you how to download a copy of R, and we also are going to download RStudio, which is an IDE or integrated development environment that serves as a front end for R. It makes R much easier to use. So to start with, we'll go to the CRAN webpage. CRAN stands for Comprehensive R Archive Network. You can see the URL above. We want to find the appropriate installer for our computer. In my case, I'm using a Mac, so I'm going to click on the Download R for Mac link, and I'm running System 10.9, so I would click on this package here. I've actually already downloaded it, and we can just go to my download folder and open up the package. And we're just going to go through a typical installer by clicking continue a lot. So we'll continue there and agree to the terms, and we'll say install. And we have successfully installed R. So what I'm going to do now is to go to my applications folder and find the R icon and open it up. And R is now open. It's a very simple program in terms of interface, often not intuitive, which is why we're going to be using RStudio rather than R. Every time R changes versions, updates, it gives a new nickname to the software. So this particular version 3.2.2 is called Fire Safety. But at any rate, we are now done with R for the moment, so we can quit out of that. And this is actually the last time you'll ever open up R directly. Instead, I'll quit out of that, and we're going to go back to our browser, and this time we're going to go to the RStudio website. So if you just Google RStudio, you'll get there quickly enough. What I've got here are a series of installers, and again, what I would do is to choose the one that's appropriate for this machine. So that's that RStudio there. And you can see it downloading down below. So open up that package, and the installation is even easier with RStudio, because all you have to do is to grab the RStudio icon here and just pull it onto the applications folder here, and that will take it directly into your applications folder, and you'll be done. I've already installed RStudio on my machine, so I will not do that now. Now let's just open up RStudio, and when you open RStudio, you will see that there are 4 distinct panels. The panel in the upper left here in my version is called the source panel, and it is where you will enter commands to have R do various processes for you. You can save the script and therefore use it later. You can modify it. You can send the script to collaborators, send the script to anyone that might be interested. Down below we have the console, which is where the output of your script is going to occur. So just as a simple example, let's just add 5 plus 4 up here, and you see that it shows up, the answer shows up as 9 down below. So this is the console. The output is going to be found. Here's the script where you're going to enter your code to perform particular processes. The upper right here we have what's called the global environment, and anytime you open a file or describe a new object, it will show up in the global environment. So let's just define a object X as having the value of 4, and you can see that that shows up there in the global environment. We can also open data sets that are built into R, and just as an example, there's a data set called Iris. So if we open that up, then Iris is going to show up here in our global environment as well. So essentially the global environment is a catalog of all the objects and data sets that you have open. And then down below we have a final window that has several different views. One is files here, just shows essentially the files of my directory where I have all my R files. If we were to develop a plot, and just as an example, I know that pedal width is one of the variables in the Iris data set, so a very simple plot of pedal width against frequency there is shown. So you can, the graphics will show up in the plots window of this lower window here. Packages are add-ons that we'll be talking about in subsequent videos to add functionality to your version of R. Help files can be very useful. Just as an example, can find information on how you'd go about calculating the mean of a series of numbers. So it's always available for you there. Now, RStudio can be modified, and if you go up to Tools, you can go down to Global Options. And one thing that you might wish to do is to change the way the panes are laid out. So maybe you want to put your console up here instead of down below like I have it set up. You will need to have all four of those windows available, but you can move them around in any way you want. I'd like the console down below, so I'm going to return that to the way it was. You can also change the appearance, and as an example, that's a theme that I like, so I'm going to switch to that. So we've got a blue background with white lettering, and so that's a quick introduction to RStudio. But one thing before we leave is to think about setting up a home directory for all your versions of all your R files. And what you can do there is to set the working directory under Session here, and you can simply choose a directory where you're going to put your various files. Now, I keep my R directory right on my desktop because I'm using R virtually every day, so my home directory is R files here. But you can just navigate onto any portion of your hard disk and designate a particular folder to be your home directory. So I do recommend doing that, and that way you're always going to keep your files in the same place, easily find them.